Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to finish up this week looking at another LGBTQ artist for Pride Month. The artist in question today is SOPHIE, and we're looking at their track Faceshopping, which is an interesting title in and of itself. This one was requested by Anthony. It says one of the most forward-thinking, idiosyncratic artists of the last several years. And that puts SOPHIE on a pretty high level. I'm hoping the bar wasn't set too high, but I'm also eager to check out what's going on here. When I was checking the audio levels so that it would be the same volume as every other video I make, I did notice there was a lot of flashing lights in this music video. So I'm just going to present that as a bit of a caution or a warning. Seizure warning, I suppose. Alright. Let's dive into this and see what SOPHIE's bringing to the table today.
My face is the front of shop. My face is the real shop front. My shop is the face I front. I'm real when I shop my face.
Oh. A ton of crunchy, gritty sounds underneath this bass hit. The call and response.
My face is the front of shop. My face is the real shop front.
We have a wide phaser sounds.
My shop is the face I front.
Got some glitch in there now.
I'm real when I shop my face.
So much sub bass going on though. It's just bonkers. Yeah, I love how the na 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 part shares some of the rhythmic identity going on.
My face is the front of shop. My face is the real shop front. My shop is the face I front. I'm real when I shop my face.
Really beautiful panning going on with this idea here. It's almost got like a hymnic value to the chords that are chosen. Just overall positive compared to sort of the sarcastic idea from this part, yeah.
My face is the real shop front. My shop is the face I front. I'm real when I shop my face. My face is the front of shop.
Okay,
My face is the real
that's
shop
what I was hoping for.
My shop is the face I front. I'm real when I shop my face. My face is the front of shop. My face is the real shop front. My shop is the face I front.
Okay, that was simultaneously what I was expecting, while also being something I totally could not have expected. I did want something new if we were going to repeat that section again for the fifth time, I think. Really something to pull the song out into the finale and really give it its biggest moment. But what they decided to go with to make this moment large is just wow. Uh, and honestly, I don't. Where do I even begin talking about a song like this? It's so far out of my uh, safe area, what I feel most comfortable in, that my vocabulary just doesn't really work for covering what we're doing here. But I'm gonna take my best shot at this and see what we can come up with. So first of all, as with any digital music like this, I've got to bring up the production. It's the first thing I think of. I think it's one of the aspects that really separates a lot of electronic music from most other art forms. Most other physical art forms, well, most physical genres, I should say, in music. Um, we can have very wide productions, especially when we get to stuff like orchestral music, where we have a lot of voices that we're trying to fit together, but also they just kind of separate themselves as well. Um, in the way that their sounds typically bounce around the hall that they're in, and then that is the acoustics, I believe, is what's recorded in most of those situations. So it's more of a natural spatial recording element, not something particularly decided on by an audio engineer. I could be wrong on that though. Someone let me know. But with rock, metal, pop is electronic music, country, why am I blanking out on this? Jazz. Art forms that are typically played with physical instruments, even if they are electronic instruments, they're not digital ones. Um, the production doesn't necessarily need to be as wide and as largely utilized. It can sometimes. We've certainly heard songs with phenomenal uh, production in the use of sound sphere and placement, but electronic music just always takes the cake for me. We have listened to some phenomenally produced electronic music that I don't think I've heard anything in rock or metal in the hundreds of bands or songs that we've checked out on this channel that come close to what the peak of electronic music does. Um, so yeah, it's just something I naturally think of as soon as I start hearing digital instrumentation. I'm like, oh, how's our sounds here looking? What kind of effects are being utilized here? And yeah, there I am not disappointed at all with this track in that topic. We have a very wide usage of here. I wouldn't say there's a lot of instruments that are placed particularly in like this specific section or above or below or behind. It's sort of just centered and wide. And those are sort of the two areas that most of the sounds come in on, is close and center, or to the sides and wide. But the ways that they're utilized and the width that's given to some of these just gives it a really big feeling, right? It's not big in the sound. Well, it is kind of big in the sound because that bass kick is humongous. But it's very big. It feels big. It feels like we're in a very large area where this music is taking place in. Um, and we have ideas of panning. We have little phaser ideas. We have this really interesting thing. I don't know. I think it was panning. I think it was very fast panning. But it felt like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. um, Okay, so what I think was happening was a very fast panning, right? So we would hear it here and then there, then here and then there, just kind of moving back and forth real quick. And it was very psychedelic, right? Normally with a slower pan, we hear it move from one side to the other, and this was sort of like quickly teleporting. It's at 100 here, and then in the next half a second, it's at 100 here. And every half second, it's just flipping back and forth between these two. And you know what it's like? It's like a strobe light. It's exactly what it's like. So when you put a strobe light on and people are moving around, it looks like you're only getting like a frame of the movement. Your brain still puts it all together. You still kind of see the fluid movement of it, but you're still only getting like little snippets of the movement itself. It's sort of your brain interpreting the aspects you're not seeing. And it has a very distinct effect to it visually. That's kind of what this felt like, where I could kind of hear it as a sound that was just here around me on both sides, but it also felt like it was phasing in between both sides rapidly. And it made me feel uncomfortable. Well, a lot of the song made me feel uncomfortable, but this section in particular, that sound in particular, definitely made me feel uncomfortable. There's something about it, could have been the note, it could have been the note plus the effect. I think the effect definitely had some aspect on it. Just a very, very interesting idea. I don't know that I would ever use that production technique. If I'm even right about the panning, I mean, I might not even know how it was accomplished, but at least to me, it achieves a very specific effect of discomfort. And I would have to be creating a song specifically designed for that, which I do think this song is supposed to be uncomfortable. I guess this is a good time to move into it. I think we kind of touched on everything. I only talked about a couple specific things for the production, but I mean, it's just very well produced. Yeah, so theme. Theme. This song moves between, well, kind of two ideas. Musically, thematically, well, yeah, thematically, it's two ideas. Let's go on structure first. I told you, I'm going to be a bit lost on this analysis. My brain's still processing it while trying to formulate this analysis, all of it on the fly. We're going to start with structure then. So the song follows a pretty typical pop song structure or popular song structure. We have an A, B, C, B, where some of those sections might have some smaller sections to them. Like maybe there's two parts of the B, but whatever. The main part is we have the I shot my face is real bit. And then I'm calling that the chorus. We hear that so many times, we're going to start the song on that. Then we move into the verse. And I think there's two different verses with two different vocal styles on them. And so we do this chorus, verse, chorus. So I guess A, B, A, B, A. Then we go into the C section, which was that hymnic, positive, very bright and sparkly section. I don't know if I'm getting sparkly because of the effects on the lyrics on the words on screen, or if just because it's just a very glittery section. Musically, it's kind of shimmered, right? Very positive and upbeat. Well, not upbeat rhythmically, upbeat thematically. Again, we're going to get the theme in a second. And then we come out of that and we head right back into the chorus, and we do that twice over. So yeah, a small variation on the typical song structure, but the core idea is that we bounce back and forth between verses and choruses. We have a bridge that is quite different from everything else, and we finish the song on a couple of repeats of the chorus, one of them being a variation on the idea. All right, structure's taken care of. Themes. There's two themes here. Our A and our B section both carry the same theme. There's something very ominous and sinister about it. I use the word discomfort, and I think a lot of this is very uncomfortable. Some of it could also just be implied by the imagery, but the music itself, at least to me, is also uncomfortable. We have that one effect I just got done talking about that definitely leaned into it, but even the main attraction of that bass kick, and I'm sure when people thought I said main attraction. They thought I was going to talk about the vocals. Yeah, the vocals are they're on top of everything mix wise, but to me, the bass kick is undeniable. It is ever present and it is so loud and big. To me, it might as well be the star alongside the lyrics. Um, but the thing is, it has a little bit of a punch in the attack, but to me, most of it is sub bass rumble. It is this underlying presence that causes the song to shake like a giant taking steps through this entire track. It is tense. I don't know if uncomfortable is the specific word for the bass, but tension. That is definitely a word I like with it. And maybe that's just because large creatures are typically destructive. Thinking of Mothra, Godzilla. Uh, whatever. Giant monsters, King Kong. These are not always friendly deals. Even the ones who protect us, giant robots, commanded by humans or whatever, are still going to wreck the city in their fight. Having something large enough to shake the ground is always a reason to run, whether it's friend or foe. And there's just something about hearing this rumble. The whole song is shaking constantly that to me just induces fear, tension, anxiety. It was the first sound we heard, and it was already inducing these ideas in me that led into some of the more uncomfortable sounds that went with it, and uncomfortable imagery. The imagery was just very moving. It was. We'll get into that in a second, maybe. We don't typically talk about visuals on this channel, but maybe we'll get into that. Oh yeah. Aside from that, though, there's also that rumbling that just kind of appears all throughout the song. I don't know what to call it. Like if it was a staticky sound, I call it white noise. And like we have brown noise and pink noise and we like all these, but what do we just call an underlying rumble? Like listening to an air conditioner unit just kind of humming along in the walls during the day. You know? What is that sound? Is there a color for that? If there's not, can we just call it black noise? Because I think that works so well. I don't know why. It just, I don't know. Maybe it's just because the rumble feels like darkness to me. I don't know, but it does. It's this underlying darkness that kind of persists through the whole song, even in between these bass kick rumbles. It is just this low grade, sinister element underneath this entire song. It speaks so much to me about the intentions of the track. Then we get into uh the verse, maybe it was, where we had words coming up on the screen that were like artificial and I think I saw the word chemical, but like you only ever get like syllables at a time and they're like super stretched and distorted. It was really hard to make out the lyrics. But I think there were vocals saying those words, but they were so low and distorted that if the words weren't there, I would have thought they were just an instrument. Just another way of using destructive production to create a sinister tone. I kind of heard a voice, but I kind of didn't really hear any syllabic quality to it. And knowing that it probably was singing these words does not put me in the right mind space to think, oh, that's some beautiful singing coming out of that voice. No, it's purposefully disruptive. It's destructive to the original timbre. There is an element of destruction through this entire song. It's just so uncomfortable. I kind of wonder if people listen to this and just like chill with the groove or whatever, because I can't do that. The song is just like completely digging into some of the worst aspects, some of the darkest emotions. Not worst aspects, darkest emotions. I think that I could have related to music. Um, we do go into that section that feels a little brighter with the na-na-nas. And I like the vocals there, kind of flipping everything and bringing a brightness out of it. But of course, they have that call and response section with that buzzsaw screeching sound, which, again, it's just a very tense, anxious tone that's being paired with this other, more palatable vocal melody. And oh man. Again, though, just really tense. I'm trying to think if there's another section in here that kind of adds to that. I mean, even the final section, the final chorus with all of the, we overlaid another vocal line to it. We had the call and response. I don't know. There was just a lot going on, and my tension, my anxiety is already pretty high just because the song keeps me on edge, no matter what section we're in. So when we get to this point, normally I would be thinking about how interesting the counterpoint is, or how all the different layers come together to help promote the ideas of the song. And I mean, technically, yes, that's true, but they all come together to give me anxiety because I can't really discern what's going on. There is so much. And instead of being overwhelmed in a positive way and saying, oh, it was gorgeous, all these ideas came together, I couldn't really parse them all, but the end result, seeing the forest rather than the trees is this gorgeous idea. No, 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 no. Here, all of it coming together, it feels like the song is actively trying to fold in on itself and rip itself apart. It is too much sound, especially when you look at how big and wide some of these individual tones are, such as the bass kick. It is just such a big sound. It takes up so much space. It really doesn't feel like there's enough room to add more, and then more is added, and more is added, and more is added, and it is just, when is it going to pop? When is the song going to explode and deflate? Which I suppose is maybe what some of that imagery was about at the end, with the face melting and flattening out. That's kind of what I felt like the song was moving towards. It was, again, kind of destroying itself. I can't even say that the layers were additively uh, working together. They were sort of just clashing, right? This wasn't a case of two or three expertly created lines that work so well and support each other to create a new, even cooler idea when you hear all of it together. This is just, all of it comes together and it gets noisy. And for those new to the channel, I say that with the most utmost respect. I don't say noisy as a detractor to the song, but it's literally there to create noise, to fill sonic space. And I guess I want to preface all of this that I talk about the song being tense and anxious and making me uncomfortable, and I mean that with like the most reverence I can have, because it completely achieves the effect that I believe it was going for, which makes it an expertly crafted song. If you're new here, you're a SOPHIE fan. I'm not dissing on this person at all. I'm actually gushing over their ability to evoke these emotions out of me. Um, I think that might be it. I think we're gonna get into the lyrics now and see if any of the lyrics line up with what I pulled out of the music, which was just fantastic production and a sinister eeriness. So yeah, let's get into this. So the first chorus, my face is the front of shop, my face is the real shop front, my shop is the face I front, I'm real when I shop my face. Now I like this. You guys know I'm a huge fan of basically puns or play on words. And I think this is a great way of taking the core three ideas of face, front, and shop and rearranging them in so many different ways to kind of say the same thing in a variety of different manners that also allude to different ideas, while also making all of these words themselves just kind of become this weird smorgasbord of sounds, kind of disassociating the words themselves. What I'm getting here, though, is something along the lines of using your face as a brand, which is huge in influencer culture right now. I mean, even me, technically, I suppose I do, in a sense, shop my face. I don't think about it that way, but when I say critical reactions, I'm pretty sure most people think of this mug right here. Um, my shop is the face I mean, I have Bryan emojis on the Discord server, right? My face is the front of shop. What I sell, it's not necessarily my face, but it is the brand of my face. Never really thought about it that way. I like this last line though. I'm real when I shop my face. I kind of take this two ways. One, just going along with this idea of the face being the brand, and you're only real when you are your brand. A sort of way of, I guess, compartmentalizing your personal life and your brand life. Um, and also, kind of feeling like, especially in our capitalist society, that one of you is the real one that brings in money that people recognize, and the face that is your personal face, the person you are in your personal time, not the one that you present to the internet, is not the real one. It might be more real to you, but it's a lot less real to others, especially if you put on a face in your Instagramming or your YouTubing or your TikToking or wherever you might have a recognizable brand. If you are a different person, that one might be the real one, or at least that's the one people believe you to be, even if you don't believe yourself to be. And then it might just reinforce the idea, well, if that's how people see me, maybe that's who I am. But the other side of that is it's got me thinking about people who utilize all of the, photo filters on pictures before they post them onto Instagram, and photoshopping your face, removing blemishes and cleaning anything up, and just ensuring that the face you present is of utmost perfection. And once again, it's about the image that you sell and what people see of you. Is that the real you? Very interesting starting off. We move into this verse section. It says artificial bloom, hydroponic skin, chemical release, synthesize the real, plastic surgery, social dialect, positive results, documents of life. And yeah, I think this is leaning more into that Instagram kind of culture of doctoring photos before posting them. And well, basically creating a reel that isn't real. In fact, even one of the lines here is synthesize the real to make out of to make something fake out of real. Synthesis is the process of creation. It alludes to artificial bloom, which is a fake style of bloom which people might put into their pictures. Synthesize the real plastic surgery, positive results, getting all those thumbs up, and documents of life. When you pass away, this is what people are going to think of you, the stuff that you've posted to your social media. And if all of it is fake and doctored and photoshopped, well, that's still going to be what people perceive of the real you. That's going to be the legacy you leave behind, but was it you? Maybe not. Interesting. Then we get to the na 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 section, and that's literally it. It's just na na na. Almost feels dismissive of the very dark topic we just got done talking about. We get back to the chorus. We get to verse 2. It says, scalpel, lipstick, gel, action, camera, lights, violence in your heart, memories of love. What? Percussive? I don't know if that's supposed to come off as comical. I don't remember hearing it and thinking it was comical, but my inflection there. What? Percussive? So, scalpel, lipstick, gel, that, makeup, plastic surgery. Once again, the artificiality of influencer life. Action camera lights. I think that just goes along with it too. We take you see people on Instagram take pictures of natural occurrences. I'm out, just having a coffee at my favorite coffee joint, and they've got their legs crossed and sitting on a a bench or something in front. But of course, it's not natural. The lighting has been specifically picked. Maybe their photographer has, some natural light or artificial lighting that they bring with them for this. It is technically a photo shoot because for people who make their money from being influencers, you need to have that perfection. You can't leave anything up to chance. So they do kind of make life into a stage, which brings an artificiality to it. I don't know about the violence in your heart or the memories of love, how any of that fits in with here. But the memories of love kind of line up a little bit with what I was talking about with, the memories that you leave behind are going to be who you are. Um, and it's finished off with what? The memories of love. What? Kind of like saying, these are the memories I'm leaving behind, and somebody else popping up and saying, what? Really? That's not you, kind of vibe is what I'm getting out of that. Um, we repeat quite a few sections. We get to the bridge, though. And this is the section that kind of removes all of the antagonistic tones in production and brings something very beautiful to it. It says, so you must be the one that I've seen in my dreams. Come on, touch me, set my spirit free. Oh, test me. Do you feel what I feel? Do you see what I see? Reduce me to nothingness. I don't know, man. This is a little side story here. This is one of my biggest problems with Lady Gaga's music. I love the Fame album, right? It's the only album I own from her. It's a wonderful album. I absolutely suggest it to anybody trying to get into pop. But a lot of the bridges lyrically feel like they have nothing to do with the rest of the song. And maybe that's because I'm missing a key aspect like I am here, but it feels like we were talking about the artificiality of social media. And we've shifted to something that feels very romantic. It's very one-on-one. Everything else was about me and I, right? It's my face. It's my we synthesize the real. It's all that, including myself in the artificiality of the internet. And now it's one on one. I'm speaking to this other person. Well, the narrator speaking to this other person says, you must be the one I've seen in my dreams. Come on, touch me, set my spirit free. We've introduced a very intimate aspect to this song. And maybe that's the point of it. It's so much the inverse of everything else we've listened to, even musically. But then what does it have to do with anything else? Is it just the inverse for inverse sake? Is it supposed to be telling me that maybe even in this moment, the most intimate, when we are meeting the narrator of the song, that even here they're not being real, but the music belies that? Test me. Do you feel what I feel? Do you see what I see? Reduce me to nothingness. Yeah, I don't know. Then we hit the chorus back up, and this was the part where we had, oh man, I forgot to talk about how the final chorus had variation. Oh, I did talk about it, didn't I? It was all very large. We have the core chorus, my face is the front of shop, the real shop front, face the front, shop my face. But in between that, it says, and you know what I want, so give me what I want. I said everything I want, so give me what I want. And I don't really understand this either, because once again, we have this you and I. We're coming back to this idea, but now it's interjected in between the moments of talking about being fake and using your face as a brand. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm starting to lose the story here. Um, but I do think that this topic overall, apart from what I've missed, kind of went over my head, is a very dark topic that we need to have conversations about. And more bands and art in general, not just music, but also film and painting or sculpture or whatever, is starting to explore, well, even psychology outside the realm of art. We're looking at science as well, exploring the damages of all of this artificiality presented on social media that is presented as natural. It is a very dark aspect of internet culture in 2020. And a little, it just doesn't sound as good when I'm like, from the 2012s on. 2020, we're just gonna stick with that. And I think a lot of that darkness and eeriness and unsettlingness bleeds into the music. There's a really strong connection here between the lyrical themes and the musical themes, especially when we start to think about how people can distort the truth in general. Right, this song in particular is talking about what I believe is, health or beauty sort of standards created through social media, but just the ability to lie in general. We have more and more ways of artificially injecting ourselves into the internet that they're really reaching a point of post truth, which is its own topic, especially when we get into uh, just the general idea of truth not mattering at all. But, I remember reading a story a few years back um, about this man in Japan, I think it was, who ran a very successful social media campaign for an attractive mid-20-year-old woman, and come to find out it was really the dude all along. He had used editing software to make himself look like somebody who was like half his age and the opposite gender. And what does it mean to be in a world where who we are on the internet doesn't necessarily need to be who we are in real life? And there's something very positive about that, where you can even greater have a separation between your personal life and your online life, which is something we desperately need more of post Web 2.0. But what can that lead to in the wrong hands? And I think there is something very sinister underneath all of this, aside from even just the general mental damage that we're experiencing right now with sort of this innocuous, kind of innocent, it's not really innocent, just lower level abuse of modifying what we put on the internet. Um, I don't really have any answers to any of this. It's just a lot of stuff that goes on in my head watching the internet continue to evolve. I've talked before positively about Web 1.0. I was there with GeoCities and weblogs, and I was there at the birth of YouTube. I've kind of been older. I'm 34. I'm like kind of an older guy over here. But no, like, I remember pre-internet times. I remember how the internet's grown. And while I am very intrigued and excited about the future of the internet. I mean, right now I pay my bills with the internet, right? I'm not completely negative about where the internet's at, but we also have a lot of things we need to reconcile with, and it just doesn't seem like we're keeping up with that at any sort of rate. And I do wonder where future abuses on the internet could lead us to if we don't get ahead of the game. And I think this song, much like a few other songs we've checked out on the channel, begin to look at the issues and at least bring it to a wider audience about some of the sinister aspects of existing on social media. I don't know, that took a weird turn there at the end. Those are my thoughts on Sophie's face shopping. This is where you guys come in. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you enjoyed this or not. If anything you want to add to my conversation or anything you want to correct me on, go ahead and do that. Above that, if you could, head into the description box and there's a link for Linktree. It takes you to this menu right here. You can pick up some merch, follow me on Twitter, join the Patreon, submit special selections, a bunch of other stuff. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. All right, that wraps it up for this week. We have an album review coming out tomorrow for Law Disputes Wildlife. Sunday is a Patreon live stream. Monday we'll be back with next week's theme at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.